the Paranormal Lens podcast. My name's Chad Thomas. That's Jamie Widener over there. We're with Jott-Nyx Paranormal, and things are busy. Jamie, how are you? How have you been?
Exactly that, busy. With everything that goes on during the week in between these episodes, like life and family and work and all this stuff, it's like, hey, we're back again. So, blur, just a blur. Not going to
Mm-hmm.
add into it any more than that. Just wow, how's it happen so fast? It's just crazy. I'm assuming the same for you.
Yep, exactly. Work has been busy, which is good. We keep talking about how, that's a good thing, but lots of hours, lots of overtime. So
Yep.
yeah, and my voice is almost back. So we've got that
Yep.
going for me.
Yay. I got,
And
well, I think I have to post this first comment from our dear friend David Dermidi. Happy 100th episode, sir. We made
yep,
it.
yep,
Holy
that
cow.
is right. And I'm glad David remembered that because I forgot.
Well, I think last week with the visit to Tala and all the time we got to spend with Dave, I think we might have said podcast about 6,000 times to him,
I
which he
think so.
knows. He knows. I know he
Mm,
knows. He's our original founder of this group with us, and the original co-host for 20 episodes or so. And stepped off to do his own gig. But I think the look he gave every time podcast was mentioned. Um, oof, yeah,
Yep.
might have overdone it. So,
Yeah.
Dave, I'm glad you're here.
So
Oh
yep,
my God.
glad you joined us.
So, what's your
So
favorite episode, sir?
yeah, I don't know. There's so many good choices.
How can you pick this one, right?
Yeah. I mean, we still have to go back to that one David did on Ogopogo to start it all
Oh,
off.
first
He
episode. Yep.
he did a great job with that and sort of set the bar for us. So,
Indeed.
and I
And a
don't
high
think we've ever
standard it was.
reached it since.
Nope. Never
So,
have.
so
But good intentions, right? Good
exactly. Yep.
intentions.
So, well, tonight we've got a special.
Episodes are like kids, Chad. You can't pick a favorite, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So, well, Jamie, let's get into it tonight. We've got it. For our 100th episode. We're doing something a little different. We're talking to somebody from a new venue that we haven't been to.
Right.
Um, so I'm excited to learn a little bit more about this. We're going to be talking about the Das House, but we're going to start this off. The group that works there or runs the place, the venue is Unique Paranormal. So a little bit about Unique Paranormal. They came to life over 20 years ago with the group's original founder, Holly Cataldo. Over the next 20 years, it became very important for her group to function with love, respect, and dignity to spirit, which sounds very familiar.
Mhm.
Holly helped teach and mentor these important investigation techniques to her daughter, Shawnna, as she started to become part of Holly's beloved spirit world. Little did Holly know that no, but in those moments, she was shaping her daughter for what was to come. On September 5th, 2023, the founder of Unique Paranormal 1 became part of her beloved spirit world. In that moment of sadness and grief is when Unique Paranormal 1.5 came to life. Shawnna was determined to keep her mother's memory and mission alive. When we were asked, so why the 1.5, our response is that we hope to be half of the investigator and communicator that Holly was. So, Unique Paranormal 1.5 is an extension of Holly and her mission as an investigator to maintain our memories, stories, and dignity of every spirit we encounter. So, with that, let's bring on Shawnna.
Hey
Hey,
guys, how are
Shawnna,
you?
welcome aboard.
Hey, thank you. Wait, wait, wait. What's that over there? Let's switch it today.
Seemed like the one time we could actually use one of our sound effects. It felt perfect. So, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. So, Shawnna, tell us a little bit about your group and how you got into this, and the story about your mom. I appreciate that. So, but fill us in a little bit more.
Basically, mom started, like you said, Unique Paranormal 1 years and years and years ago. And I've always said, like, I was kind of like the pain in the butt kid who would just tag along to hang out with her mom, never was much of a believer, always thought, my mom's so full of crap. But I got to hang out with her, right? And go to all these cool places. So that's where it started for me. And of course, over time, the inquisition of the things that were happening and, the evidence that was, coming to light, and just the way my mom displayed her respect for spirit. And that was the number one thing that she taught all of us was, respect, dignity. And I think a lot of paranormal investigators are this way. But just to watch her do that and be inspired and receive intelligent responses to validate that this really is a real thing. Hey, Michael's in here. So yeah, and so it just proceeded from there. Over the years, I'd go with her occasionally. We always went to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That was a big thing for us that we did together every year. And then she had a couple events when she moved up to Kane. And then, like you said, unfortunately, she had passed away. And this was basically a way for me to grieve the loss of my mother, because these were some of our greatest memories that we had together. And I just decided one day, like, what better way to honor her through my grief journey than to continue on with her group. And so the group now consists of quite a few close people to my mother. Her best friend Cheryl is in our group. My wife, of course, who helped me take care of her at the end stages of her life, is the one who actually put in all the work to make this happen for us. As far as Unique Paranormal 1 and now the Doss House. We also have a good friend of mine, Beth, who was like a daughter to my mom, who was also very much active in our group, and her daughter that was like a granddaughter to my mom. And just along the way, because my mom had a very open door policy that anybody is always welcome to join us, because we have found that traveling to different places, there's a lot of people who are intrigued by this paranormal investigating, but they never knew where to reach out to be involved, or how to join up a group or make their own group. So anybody who ever wants to come along with us, you come. It's an open door policy, and that's just how we operate moving forward.
That's great, because I grew up living in a haunted house, worked in a lot of theater, so I had a lot of experiences, but I had the same thing. Didn't know how to get involved in a group, and it's all Jamie's fault that I got involved in Jott-Nyx. But
Invited him to one thing, and he never stopped coming afterwards. So
it's
That's it.
addictive, just like
It
tattoos.
is.
It's just they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah,
That's all it takes. It's just somebody's got to open the door for you, and I really appreciate the perspective as well, because that for me was the same thing too.
Mhm.
Lot later in life till I found this opportunity we have with our team, but always interested throughout life. And similar to Chad, I grew up in a house that was active and
Mhm.
hard to explain what was going on in it. And, so it piqued my interest from a teenager, or probably even
Mhm.
before that. But didn't find the right way to do it all the way through this. And
Right.
having somebody open a door, and here it is many years later and still going strong, and still and have no plans to stop anytime soon.
right.
Right. Well, I think an important part of that is it creates a safe space for people who do have abilities and have struggled with, seeing things, hearing things, communicating with spirits. And, to each is their own. Every family is different. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe. But there's been so many people who have felt shamed because of these certain situations, and it sends them to a not so positive place, because
Right.
they feel like there is something wrong with them. So that is also important to us, is to create a safe space for people to feel comfortable to reach out and get some support in regards to paranormal.
Hmm.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have thought of a better way of saying that. So thank you.
Of course.
So, so what next? Like, what led you to the Doss House? Like,
So again, my mother, of course, she was a big dreamer, but her husband traveled a lot for work. She had finally just settled her roots in Kane, Pennsylvania, and was actually in the talks of. She always wanted to own a haunted Airbnb. She wanted to be a host and make
Mhm.
everybody breakfast and help everybody investigate and all of these things. And she was really starting to try to put those things in motion until she got diagnosed, unfortunately. So my wife, Danielle, when my mom did pass, she made it her personal journey, I guess her personal mission to find something. I mean, we obviously didn't have the means to reach a actual haunted Airbnb that was inhabitable for people to sleep there and take a hot shower and stuff like that, or literally be able to cook people breakfast that they would actually enjoy, like my mom could. So we started looking for the next best thing, and that was just to find a legitimate, true haunted location. And Danielle she kept looking and kept looking, and we would go look at places and we're like, nope, that's not it. Nope. And we were just driving through this town and I was like, ooh, that house is creepy. And we knew it was empty. So she kept to digging, and she found out, she got a hold of the owner who met us over there. And she, are you interested in selling it? And hey, and I was like, she was like, I want it. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Now, like, we need to actually make sure this place is haunted, right? So, or at least has a lot of energy for people to investigate it, because that's the purpose of it. So she's like, okay, I know, you're right. So the current owner agreed to allow us to go inside and investigate. And mind you, this place was completely hoarded out. Like, it was full of stuff. And it was me and my wife and my good friend Beth, her husband, who was a complete skeptic, non-believer, like, I'm just coming to hang out with you guys, kind of who I was 20 years ago, right? So, and then my daughter. And we get in there and literally, like, we're fluffing up garbage bags to sit so we could have a clean place to sit. And we're like, where should we start? And literally the night started off with a bang. So we're that front door that you see right there in the picture. That part of the structure is the original part of the structure, built in approximately 1810. And then there's a very old stone built basement underneath it. And we were setting up in the living room right inside of that door. And literally the night started with a bang. It sounded like a shotgun went off under our feet. And the floor actually raised up. That's the living room. The floor actually raised up a little bit. Everybody was like, what the heck is that? Like, it was so loud. And so Danielle and our friend Brent, because, he's a non-believer, they ran around outside straight into the basement. This was the only room in the house that had absolutely nothing in it. Not a storage tote, not a piece of cloth, like nothing in this space, but every possible space in the rest of the house had junk stacked everywhere, right?
Oh.
They checked all of the beams, they checked the posts. There was no logical reason, scientifically or structurally wise, that should have happened. And it just progressively took off from there. Lots and lots of intelligent responses with communicating, EVPs, REM pods. I mean, you name it, equipment that we have never gotten responses from in any other location was lighting up like the 4th of July that night. So it was just confirmation, like, yep, this is the spot. Mom agrees, and we're going for it. And here we are.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, Stacy has commented that basement. So
It's a special space for sure.
So I'm assuming that until you guys started investigating there, it had not really been a place that was investigated. Is that what
it was? No, it was a private residence prior to us buying it. There was a family of a barber that had lived there for years and years and years and years. And the last woman that owned it was actually the barber's daughter, and she lived there until she could no longer care for herself and was put into an assisted living facility, and therefore the house had sat empty for about 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, I see in the slides, the pictures, there was a barber pole and then the chair and another frame. There had to be some connection there, whether the shop or not, but oh, wow. Yeah, that's, well, those things have, all that stuff has, a meaning to someone. That's all the activity
100%.
of the shop happens at the chair. And I can't speak for everybody, but I grew up with a barber because I'm old. A barber shop barber, not just a salon at the mall, and I love that guy. He was funny. He was cool, and it just brought about. He always had a joke. He always had the other guys hanging out there. Like you see on the old shows and stuff. But it was always fun. So
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
fond memories of a barbershop. That's really neat. I'm sure
And
others do too, and maybe that's who's
yeah.
staying.
And I think
Right.
it's amazing that you got responses on your first night, because we've been to so many places. We've been to several places that you go in, and it sounds weird, but the spirits don't know how to use the equipment. They don't know how
Right.
to communicate. You have to train them. You have to teach them. But you were getting. It sounds like you were getting responses and activity
Right.
right off.
And that's probably just because of the fact before we start every investigation, like my mom did, we introduce all of ourselves. We let that spirit know what we're doing there. We let them know what we have. We let them know that, these things cannot hurt them, but they are a way for them to communicate with us. We do that every single time just to try to establish a baseline for that.
Mhm.
In case there is any questions or they do feel hesitant or anything like that. So I think that probably helped.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like my mom knew we were on this journey trying to. So like in my mind, I'm like, okay, my mom's here and she's, getting everybody together, hyping everybody up. Like this is going to be
Mhm.
it. So yeah, that was really cool. And then there was just a lot of interconnecting things that made us realize that it was meant to be. Like prior to moving to where I am now, I lived in a town called St. Mary's. The Doss house is on St. Mary's Road. I met my wife in Prince Gallitzin State Park, and Prince Gallitzin is buried about 100 yards from the Doss house. He founded this town. Recently found out that he was, I'm sorry, I'm not very educated in this, where he was like sworn in as a priest, like you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say, like I think you know what I'm saying. Like when the date of him officially becoming a priest was on my birthday, March
Okay.
18th.
Okay.
So it's the interconnecting
Oh,
circle of all of the
it's an
things
ordainment.
lining up.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
There it is. Words, Shawnna, words. So yeah, just a lot of different interconnecting things that just confirmed to us that this was the right
Well,
choice for us.
that's great.
Yeah.
So, um, I did. In case anybody's interested, I did post the history that Shawnna shared with us in the discussion on the Facebook page for tonight's show, so you can check that out there. Shawnna, do you want to talk about any of these pictures as we go through the different rooms? You said that was the living room that we looked at first.
Yep. And this is the dining room. So the living room was part of the 1812, the original part of the structure. Late 1800s was when the dining room was built on, which is what you're looking at right now.
Okay. Then we have.
And then this is the barber shop, which originally was its own entity. It wasn't always attached to the home. In the mid 1900s, when the barber's wife fell ill, he then opened each side, the house and the barber shop, and connected the two, put a ramp in for her to spend the remainder of her days over there, just because it was easier for care. There was more room. There was running water and all those sorts of things over there. So that's when everything became one unit.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So there's a story behind this radio. One of our teammates, Amy, she lives in New Jersey. For some reason, the house always is telling her that it doesn't like her. It calls her, well, we get audibles of not so nice names. There's times that we'll have lots of activity, but as soon as Amy walks in the room, there's no activity. For whatever reason, the house does not care for Amy. And so this was a gift that she brought as a peace offering, trying to get the house to like her. Needless to say, it didn't work. It did not work. So in the midst of that, though, we got a cool radio.
That is cool.
Yeah.
They are awesome. Does it work is the better question. But
it does not work. Maybe if
okay.
it worked, then maybe
Well,
would have liked it.
maybe so. There's a warm hum when they're working, and like the tubes warming up and so forth. It's just, it has such a great sound. Those old radios like that have such a great sound to them.
Yeah.
It's
We'll have to
fantastic.
look into that to see if we can we can get that fixed. Now, you're seeing a lot of things in here, like you'll notice in a lot of the pictures, about 80% of what is in the house is original to the house. These are all things that we found in the house. We actually found a lot because, like I said, everything was hoarded out. So we actually did take our time trying to find things that actually belonged and, would hold some meaning to what we were trying to do there. So like in the case on the table behind there were several of the barber's tools that we found. That was actually his original barbershop mirror that we actually found tucked away in the basement. So yeah, like the crosses, anything that was religiously sentimental, we left them where they hung. We didn't touch them.
Right.
We didn't move.
That's great. It's so nice to have the pieces that were part of the house, because so
Mhm.
often families come in and out and things come and go. And
Mhm.
even some of the historic places we go to, they're reproductions because we haven't been able to find the stuff that was here. So to
Even
have
Right.
that
more so to
just
say they're add-ins that don't have any relevance to the original location at all, and it's
Mhm.
Mhm.
because it
Right.
may seem like it should be there, and it's like, well,
Right.
yeah, not the
Right.
same.
Well, and now, and like in hindsight of that, though, like because this is in honor of my mom, we do have quite a few of her items in the house, like some
Mhm.
tables and some furniture along that site. And then as far as my wife, because this is a journey for her too, we have, some of her past loved ones' items in there, to kind of bring this space together for us.
Mhm. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's so here.
Speaking of original items, so this cabinet is full of things that we found in the house, from religious artifacts, things that we found in the basement, random keys, family photos. I mean, you name it. If we felt it was of importance, it went into that cabinet. There's also another story that goes along with this cabinet along the left side. So Frank, the historian, he lives across the street from the Doss house, and he was the barber's best friend. And he told us a story about this cabinet that when the Doss's youngest daughter, when she was probably, I think she was around 5 or 6, actually pushed Doss and he fell down these stairs and went through the side of that cabinet. So the left side of that cabinet has no glass in it. So we kept that cabinet tucked back up in there. So yeah, right at the bottom of those steps. So that was pretty interesting to learn.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to the next slide, which I think may make Stacy a little uncomfortable, but here we go.
There it is. There it is. Good
Uh,
old
these
basement.
these stone basements always have something. It's we obviously we live in an area where there's a lot of these, right? Because
Mhm.
that's how homes were built back in the day. But I've yet to be to one that doesn't have something. It's really cool. And then
Yeah.
all the walls are what you said, 1810-ish in that window
Yes. Hmm.
timeline. Okay,
Yep.
yeah,
And then all log support beams,
okay,
everything's originally log under there.
That's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
I
So
see
does that
Amy.
remind you of the commonweal basement a little bit?
Yep. Hmm.
There were timbers like tree trunks holding up parts of the ceiling.
Well, that was just the norm. That was how the things
Yeah.
were built in this time frame. So,
Yeah.
Shawnna, do you have an experience here? I mean, obviously the first night experience you had, but do you have an experience here that really stands out that you want to share? You want to talk about?
Um, I mean, there's two that come to mind, besides that initial one. Um, Obviously one is memorable to me because it involved my mother, and we had other team members from other teams that we had invited in that night. And they had brought a piece of equipment with them that they had never, ever gotten a response out of. And I verbally asked my mother to light that up, and immediately it lit up. And it continuously lit up for the rest of the night. So that was pretty incredible. The other really weird situation for me was actually in this basement. And again, I'm a paranormal newborn. I'm just learning all of these things, learning abilities and how to read rooms and situations and, basic fundamentals of protection and stuff like that. We were sitting in the basement with a friend of mine, Sarah and Jay. It was their first time visiting the house. And I started feeling like I was underwater. Like my vision even felt like I was underwater. Like I wasn't feeling sick. I wasn't lightheaded. I wasn't. And immediately my face got really bright red. I had to sit down because I felt like I was going to pass out. Um, and, we finished up what we were doing down there. And as soon as I got upstairs and outside, I was completely fine. So a very odd thing to happen to me personally.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that was definitely an interesting, unforgettable experience.
Wow, it sounds like it.
I'm not so sure I want to go in the basement now. Never mind.
Now, earlier, does the basement, does that only have exterior access? Because you said something about people going outside to go in downstairs.
Yeah, so basically how that's set up is this is the original part of right below the living room. So then the dining room is just behind the living room, and there's another newer basement there. So there's actually a doorway that goes from the front basement to the back basement, and there is a door there that leads to the backyard.
Okay.
Yes, Heather, I agree. For sure.
Well, we just had a road trip with the Lynches out to Trans-Allegheny last week. A week and a half ago now, I guess. Gosh, almost it'll be 2 weeks on Thursday. So it's never too soon to have the next one. That's for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Amy, you missed it. We already talked about the radio.
So I guess what I'd like to ask you, and is, and I don't know how to say this otherwise, so bear with me. It's gonna make sound like a dumb question, but you did this. You went in, you went all in, right? You have this fantastic location. What are the things you didn't expect as part of this process? Like, is there any like aha moments for you to say, wow, this is super cool, or is there any like, ooh, I don't know, moments, like, because you're an investigator who owns a haunted location. So, I would think
Yeah.
that'd be the coolest thing ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, but it has to
Right.
have some pros and cons to it.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of pros and cons. The pros, I would say, is meeting a lot of wonderful people. A lot of people who we recently had a younger woman from the college the next town over who, again, loved this stuff but had nowhere to go and experience it. And we had an open public event at the house one night. She saw the post online and she came over and had an awesome time. And like I said, I've met so many wonderful, amazing people. Hindsight to that is that not everybody is in this for all of the right reasons. And again, to each is their own. There are certain people that are looking for certain things, if you know what I mean. And if they are not finding or feeling that what they're specifically looking for is not at a location, they're in and out in no time. And that's okay. Everybody's allowed to do what they want to. But that's not what the environment we're trying to create. So we just, and there's times that you go in there and there's minimal activity. And there's times you go in there, there's crazy activity.
Right.
So, but you always get something. You always get something. So to me, that's a win-win all the way across the board. And maybe we've just been fortunate enough that we have yet to have anybody in there that's had a bad experience. So we've had some very disrespectful people, but again, you can't control that. You just have to maybe learn a little bit better how to read people. And I'm working on that.
Well, we say this all the time. There's and bear with me on this because I'm not trying to go too sideways, but we talk about the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator. And we at our team, I believe you'll feel the same. We consider ourselves investigators. We want to understand, what's going on at the place. Take away the things that could be paranormal first for an activity that when it happens. Like if equipment's going off, what else could it be? Remove the stuff that's normal, then what you have left is paranormal. And the ghost hunter is there for the fun, the flash, the scare even,
Yes.
and the jump scare even for more so, and that's we live in a soundbite world now. So, that's what
Yes.
we want to see. We want to have our YouTube moment or whatever service of choice moment,
Hmm.
to be able to put it out to social media. So and there's a difference between the two. And I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to do either way. You just have to know that you going into it, what your style is. But sitting me quiet for a while is really a key to finding out stuff about a location. And it'll
Hmm.
present itself to you if you allow it. And I think that's really kind of the fun, especially at a new location. You really don't know how much is there yet, and the sky could be
Agree.
the limit. That's super
Yeah.
cool.
And maybe you said this, and I'm sorry if I didn't catch it. How long have you owned and been running investigations there now?
We just purchased it last summer, and we opened on Halloween.
Okay.
So it's new, and that's another cool thing is like every group that goes in there, we get more and more information, not just from the house, but the town in general, from energies coming from all over the place. And then being able to validate that with factual, articles or documentation, and
Yes.
which is really cool. Now, like, don't get me wrong, there's craziness that happens. Like, you're seeing shadows, you're hearing growls, like there's some crazy things that happen in there that people get. And it just blows my mind, to be honest with you. I mean, and I tell people, you can pay, $1,500 to go to a place that's super awesome and has a lot of energy and get absolutely nothing,
Mhm.
but then go back 3 months later and it's crazy. So, it all just, I'm a firm believer too. A lot of activity depends on the energy of the people that are in there as well.
Yeah, I'm
I
still
agree.
waiting for somebody to come out of the wall and introduce themselves to me. So
Yeah.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I mean, took 15 years for me to actually to be with somebody who caught a full bodied apparition on camera. It took 15 years. Like, these things don't
Yeah.
just happen every day, all day long. Like, you don't just walk into a place and stuff starts getting thrown off the walls at you. And there are people that expect that, but that's not reality.
Yeah.
It would be
Exactly.
cool, you know.
So we host public events at our place back at Booby's Brewery in Mountjoy, PA. So a little to the east of you, and that's pretty much
Love
my
that.
part of the spiel. That we give is like nothing is on demand.
Yeah.
But if you're attentive and interested, and even not to say you have to be like hanging on the edge of your seat where or whatever you're doing, but you just have to be in the moment, and things
Right.
present themselves.
Yeah. And I think,
Right.
Shawnna, like you said, it's the energy of the group that what they put into it is what they're going to get back out of it. We've
100%.
we've had that at the brewery some nights where it's like the guests are just like not into it, and it's like we get nothing. And so we sometimes it's a smaller group with a lot of high energy, and all of a sudden we're getting things left and right, and devices
Mhm.
are going off that typically don't go off. It all
Right.
depends on the people who are there.
Right. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
Well, that's the fun part too. When you have, you found your people, right? Your team is they're your people, and you
Mhm.
have that dynamic. You know each other. You know what your skills, talents, and traits are for investigations. And once you find that and you click, the rest of it does come kind of easier too. It's just so
Right.
cool.
Agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times that we all get on each other's nerves like nobody's business.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen when you have a close knit paranormal family like that, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you don't have to be blood relatives to be family, and those moments prove it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hey, at the end of the day, it's all in good fun. We're just
Hmm.
there to have fun.
So, so we've got a little bit more information for people who would like to investigate. And I'm not trying to wrap this up by any means. I'm just going to I'm going to share this as well. Um, to talk a little bit about your pricing and and what it's like to investigate there.
And
Absolutely. So,
how to schedule or coordinate as well. That's
sure.
probably the most important part.
Sure. So basically, Sunday through Thursday you get it for 12 hours. You get to come in at the time of your choice. Um, and we're pretty flexible. Like, if you're traveling from a distance away and you need to hang out for a couple extra hours to get some rest, we want everybody to be safe. That's offered to you for no charge. You just let us know ahead of time. We're happy to let you stay longer if you need to. So the basic necessities of it is 12 hours. Sunday through Thursday is $250 with $100 deposit to secure. And Friday and Saturday nights is $350 for the same. You can have 1 to 8 guests. And we also just recently added a group end. That's a new word. A weekend rate. If you want it for the entire weekend, it will run Friday from 6 p.m. until noon on Sunday for 1 to 8 guests for a flat fee of $500. And to book it, you can hit me up on Facebook Messenger. That's probably one of our biggest spots, or just shoot me an email at the DOSHouse278@gmail.com.
Okay.
We will eventually have everything up and running to be able to do that on our website, but the website's still under construction at the moment.
That sounds familiar.
Amy's got a good point. I thought this was the word you were coming up with there for a second. So is that I'm gonna show my ignorance here, but does Groupon still exist? I haven't heard of it in a while, so assuming so.
I think so.
I would think so, yeah. And maybe that's how I'll advertise it. Take the whole weekend to cash in your Groupon.
Jamie, Jamie, you know what? Like, Loretta's better.
Go ahead, do it.
When you sleep over.
Yes,
Stay over. One of those.
Well, Shawnna, we are fairly close to Philadelphia, so they ran an ad campaign a few years ago where it said Philly's more fun when you stay over. And the point, it's true. Any place really is, because you go there for the day and you have to leave at a certain time because you got your distance back home. When you stay, you have the evening and the night, and then the next morning. So it's a win for the place because the economic development of it is you're spending more money there, you're spending more time there, you have more experiences to share with others. So we say the same about Mount Joy because our place has a hotel level and there's an Airbnb across the street. It's all under the property's control. So it's one of those things, but every town could be that way. So Loretto is certainly no different. It's more fun when you stay over.
I mean, true.
And especially if you stay the whole weekend.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think I'd ever be able to actually sleep in there, but hey, whoever wants to take a shot, you have at it for sure.
So,
I'm sorry, I just clicked that. So I'm going to comment this note from Heather. You really got a lot done in a short period of time. I assume just going through all the stuff and deciding what to keep and what to get rid of took a long time. I am very intrigued about all of the original pieces you have in the house. This has to contribute to increased activity.
Well, all I'll say is that we had a lot of people helping us. Our group was very supportive. Friends and family, everybody was there to help. Yeah. Okay, Amy.
I think that is a double dog dare. I'm not sure. Maybe it kind of feels like it.
Oh man. Yeah. So we got lucky with that. And anything anybody ever questioned, they would come to Danielle and I, or we would say, yes, keep it, no, pitch it. Like, we just had a really great group of people that came to give us a hand.
Oh,
triple.
That's significant right there. Triple. I don't think you can top that. I know you can't double stamp a triple stamp.
I can top it with a hard no. It's fine.
I do have a question for you, and I haven't been there, and again, so bear with me. Do you have, or have you considered, at least maybe if you don't, having set up like cameras that are steady and stable all the time somewhere on the property?
I have. Okay, so we do have cameras in every room.
Okay.
We don't. They basically are triggered by motion and sound, no matter what. So we have been able to offer that to people. It only records in between 30 to 45 second increments. As long as there's somebody in there moving, talking, whatever, it's going to continuously record. But then when you leave that space, the only thing that's going to trigger that camera again is noise or sound. So we have actually been able to validate a lot of things that have happened in the house for people. I don't want to do any type of live streaming or bring a company in that offers anything like that, because then I'm having to pay them and I'm having to charge people, and it just works out good for us this way. It's something that I like to do for teams or people that come in, and I do it for nothing. I'm happy to, yes, we can verify that this actually happened, or no, we don't see anything, but it doesn't mean what you got isn't valid. So there was one incident in particular that Dark Hollow, great local friends of ours and a local group, had an incident at the bottom of the staircase. And there were several things that had happened all at once. So I checked all angles. So we had the dining room angle, we had the upstairs bedroom angle, and we had the top of the stairs angle from the cameras, because there was a growl. There was a whole lot of screaming from the girls at the bottom of the stairs, to a light turning on, to a REM pod blaring then on the bed upstairs, which the girls were so screaming they didn't even realize a REM pod was going on off on the bed upstairs. And for me to validate that in the moment of being startled by a noise, nobody accidentally turned the light switch on, so that was cool to be able to be like, yep, I definitely hear something on there. Yes, you're definitely screaming your heads off. No, nobody turned the light on. But hey, by the way, the REM pod was going off hysterically on the bed upstairs. So that type of thing is really cool to be able to do. And I don't want to charge people for anything like that.
I got you.
And Jamie, I think if you go in their Facebook page, there are some of these things that have been shared to their Facebook page.
Yep, so. Got you there. Well, the reason I'm asking, and this is going to be a dumb thing to say, but paranormal activity doesn't just happen at night. Like activity happens all day long, and having the camera, and what you've done is pretty much what I would hope you do is have something that's at least there to capture those odd times of the day or night, whatever it is. The house is inactive. Like no one's there being inactive. It's not no team there.
When there is nobody there and the system is activated, we still get alarms all the time.
Gotcha. And it helps validate, like you said, the activities that are there, and helps you set the patterns, what they are too. That maybe set some of that up to figure who it is, what it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And lots of audible, unexplained voices, to your natural beings of a spider leg coming across the front of the lens, things like that. So it's definitely worth having it in there for sure.
What would you say is the most common activity that you get there? Is there anything that stands out?
No, because it's all over the place. Yeah, it's so all over the place. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in the comments could validate, like you get REM pods, you get EVPs, you see things, you hear things. I think footsteps upstairs is probably the number one that everybody 100% says that they hear, to shadow figures, to, I would just say all the way across the board, Estes method. I think Brenda and them, they posted a video the other day of an unexplained issue that happened in the kitchen, where it was like a flash of light and then a beam of a dark looking shadow towards the camera. And they caught that on their own camera that was set up in there. Now my camera, nothing, didn't catch anything, but their camera did. So, but there was also no motion or no sound in that space for my camera to be recording.
Right.
Well, it's always about the angle.
100%.
Okay. All right. So you've got some stuff coming up.
We do.
So let's talk about that for a moment.
Let's jump over to that.
And this, by the way, this title, I did not see it until earlier this afternoon. So bear with me. But I looked at this and I went, "Oh, that's great!" Like that moment, I go, "Love the title." So who came up with this?
We actually, a lot of us just threw some ideas out there, and then we took a vote, and the vote won it. And it was just as simple as that. It was a community effort. So that's how that was landed. And again, this was just an event to bring the community together, which my mother was all about. I mean, we're all about that too, but it was supposed to be a little tiny little craft vendor little festival. And it has exploded into a big festival.
Well,
call it a festival because we're in a little teeny tiny town and there's no more room for it to grow any bigger. So
that's cool. And the fact that you have free admission is, I think that's just amazing. So do you need to get tickets or anything, or is it just show up on the day of? And
no. So basically we have, there are several tickets available for special guests that are coming. But to attend the event itself and just be part of the day and, visit and talk to people and get some good food, and that is absolutely free. We do have some special guests who are offering some special things. Patty Negri is doing some workshops, some meet and greets, a gallery reading, and then holding a private investigation at the house on Saturday night, which I've been fortunate enough that is all sold out. We also have, let me see, Heather Matarazzo, Hollywood actress. She starred in Princess Diaries as Lily. She has been in Scream and Hostel, and just did about, I think, 8 episodes on Wednesday. So she's coming in. You can do meet and greet with her, a photo opportunity, autographed whatever from her. So she'll be there. Blue Bodie is coming as well. She's offering some workshops and a private investigation, I believe, on Friday night. Just trying to keep everybody's stuff straight. And then Santiago Cirillo from The Walking Dead, entrepreneur, High End Nation spokesperson for mental health awareness, amazing, amazing human. He's coming to join us. He's going to be doing a private event with psychic medium Larissa Rex from the Haunted Mafia. They're going to hold an event at the crypt of Prince Gallitzin. And he's also doing some private meet and greet stuff that you can do. John Covey, just to name a few. John Covey, you have Kelly, all, people who are offering readings. Stacy does Reiki, as well as Beth, I believe. Ernie Atwell will be there with his haunted doll. I mean, the list just goes on. There's going to be lots and lots of awesome opportunities to encounter that day.
Yeah, definitely several of our good friends there that day.
Yeah, we know most of these folks too, so that's super cool.
Awesome.
A day well spent.
Yeah. I say my wife is in there in the comments there that she said the Doss house is the only place she's literally ever been scared away from. That place actually sent her running out the front door twice. Oh. And she doesn't get spooked easily. So that was interesting for sure.
Wow, it sounds like a great day. It's June 21st, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And go back to that slide. And where, just for people who don't know, where is Loretto?
It is, I would say easiest way to describe it is in between Altoona, Pennsylvania, and Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Did that even make sense? I feel like that didn't even make sense.
Altoona, no, it does.
Right in between Altoona and Johnstown.
Okay.
Is probably the best way to get you there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have friends who live in Davidsville, so I'll, go up for the day and then go crash at their house, so.
There you go. Yeah. Or you can brave it and stay the night in the Doss house. That's totally on you.
Our experience with investigating in mid-state PA has been fog on our drive home, and so Chad's playing the smart role on this one. We were in Huntington at the Clifton Theater a little while back, and I couldn't. Well, it's dark. Obviously, it's 4 a.m. or whatever it is, and couldn't see the lines on the edges of the road, the headlights at the front of the hood. You couldn't see anything, and that's miserable. First of all, but also in the same way, I'm like, when you come across someplace, you're like, where am I? Like you come through a town. And how it is out in the hill. You're kind of in the mountains and at least in the foothills of the Appalachians there. So, you never know what the weather's going to be. So it was always, and it just adds to the creepiness of your experience when you get a fog storm.
Sure. And you're like just hoping and praying that you're still on the road, and oh well if you're not.
I think Chad was hoping and praying I was still on the road. I was driving.
Definitely.
There were times I wasn't sure.
But it is definitely a great area. There's just a lot of energy up there with between everything that's going on up there.
Well, what's cool about Loretto in itself is there's a basilica there. And like I said, the tomb of Prince Gallitzin, who founded this town, is right in front of this church, a beautiful, amazing church. And then at the opposite end of town, you have Schwab Estates, the Man of Steel. It was his estate. His mansion is at the top of the hill, and it's called the Mount Assisi Sunken Gardens. Absolutely beautiful, breathtaking statues and fountains and ponds and you name it. It literally looks like you're walking into the secret garden when you arrive there. And that's also open to the public. Just tons and tons of history in this small little town. It's incredible.
It definitely sounds like a road trip, Jamie.
It is. And, I'm surprised it took us this long at the 50-minute mark of the episode to get to a road trip call. So,
No, we had that earlier. We did have that
yeah, I
earlier.
missed it. I'm so sorry. I missed it then. Okay. My bad. I was enthralled in this conversation. It wasn't reading comments, I guess.
Yeah.
But, well, that's it. And, what you said, we said it earlier, like it's more fun when you stay over, and that's the thing when you have the opportunity. There's if you really stop in these, I'm going to say small town. I don't know the size, but population density, all that. But there's so much more than it looks like when you're just passing by. If you can stop and stay the day, stay the night, and the next day, you really get to see all of the wonderful things all of these locations have. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at your homepage now. There is a Loretto, PA historic tours option as well.
Absolutely. It's
There, and that just looks like how you can see all of this stuff all at once.
It really is. It really is a beautiful little town. And yeah, like that's, I'm excited that the weather's finally getting nice, because when people do make the trip up, they can actually now go over and spend time at the church and the cemetery. The crypt is incredible. Like, I've never seen or experienced anything like that. And like I said, the garden at the other end of town is breathtaking. I could just walk through there for hours, and it's yeah, you just have to experience it. I can try to sell it to you all day long, but until you actually experience it yourself, there's no way for me to describe it to you. It's just
Come
an
into it.
awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring my camera and spend the day wandering around, or 2 days wandering around.
All right. Well, the Lynches are reserving an Airbnb already, so we're done. Let's just make it happen. So we talked about this last week on our Tala wrap up episode, but we stayed with Bert and Heather, Chad and I. We all had an Airbnb together. They they found a place that was like 4 minutes from Tala, which was fantastic at the end of the night. But normally we are coming into places, and you're not so far that wouldn't be a drive in, drive out for us. When we are out in Lancaster County, so but we never get to stay with each other. If we do stay over, we're in hotel rooms and we're all separated. And it was nice just to have that camaraderie of hanging out with people who are doing what you're doing and spending the time, which was really, really cool. So I recommend it, and stay over, spend the time.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you get an Airbnb, make sure you find somebody who you're staying with who cooks a mean breakfast.
That wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be me.
Well, I think it was probably technically lunch by the time we got going with it.
Brunch. It was a brunch.
Yeah, brunch is a better word, right? Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Bert. We really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was
the
a lot
spot
of fun.
of the day. So
let's do it over again in Loretto.
So, I mean, it's hard to believe we've been talking almost an hour already, isn't it, Jamie?
That's how it works. Yep.
It seems like a few minutes, but I did pull some contact information for you for your group. I'm going to share that. Is there anything else? I did not get your webpage. I'm sorry. If you want to tell us what that is or share it in the comments, that'd be great.
It's just the Doss House. I think it's the Doss House of Loretto /PA. And like I said, it's still just kind of under construction. I mean, there's some basic general information on there, but it's not 100% ready to go. So if you need, the best way is to just reach out to us through email or Facebook.
Okay.
I'm going to put the website in the comments here for you.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
you were close. It's the dosshouse-pa.com.
Okay, perfect. See, look at you.
Look at Jamie being techie today.
We'll see if it actually works. Hey, it worked.
There it is. Nice.
Every once in a while, the sun shines on a dog's butt. Right? Flying squirrel in a nut, whatever you want to say here. So
See, I'm to the point that I had those issues with my camera. I don't want to touch anything to mess anything up.
It's fair. Well, nothing started smoking here yet, so I guess I'm okay. But usually that's what happens to me too. Something doesn't work after.
Yeah. Google, as Bert said, Google is your friend.
It's
So,
very true.
all right. Well, we should probably get things wrapped up. So, Shawnna, it was great to have you on tonight. I, definitely a place that I think Jamie and I both want to come
Oh yeah.
visit, as well as a lot of our team and
We'd love,
friends.
absolutely. We'd love
But
to have you guys.
So this is the part where we normally would say, "How about a shameless plug?" So whatever you want to say, it's yours.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, talk about putting me on the spot, huh? No. No, I mean, hey, just if you're free this June 21st, come out and hang out with us. It's absolutely free. It's for the whole family. We're going to have lots of vendors and, people who are making stuff. We'll have a kids corner for your little ones. Lots of yummy food. And we'd just love to bring everybody together and have a good time. And, if you want to investigate the Doss house, you should definitely check that out while the weather's nice. But even when the weather's not nice, we have heat. So it's all good.
It's such a
Cool.
plus. It's such a plus.
Because we've been to places that do not have heat, and they're great to investigate, but sometimes it gets really cold.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It does. And well, and it was important to us, having a place like this, putting the things in there that were super important to us going to places like free coffee, free unlimited coffee. Like we
Hey,
were like, yep, that's coming in here. Things in the bathroom facilities that women need. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and having water and drinks and snacks if you need some, and heat. There you have it.
Yeah.
So that was super important to us, and people really do appreciate it. So
yeah. Well,
that
I'm
was
glad to
absolutely.
hear that you have that, and yeah, definitely worth the effort. And thank you for doing that. And
Yeah.
so,
absolutely.
Shawnna, thanks first and foremost for keeping this place there and what it was. A lot of times these older properties, they start to look a little rough. They start to get past
Mhm.
it's prime location on a street, like, and
Yeah,
somebody says, let's just take it down and build something else, and keeping it keeping for lack of a better way of saying it, on the tax rolls, all that stuff. 'Cause that's economic development for your community too. Having folks come in, they spend some money elsewhere in the town, and
right.
again, more fun when they sleep over, kind of thing. There's a lot of economic drivers, and I that comes from my background. I'm sorry, not to, but
Yeah,
the whole part of this is you kept this place open and actively available, and that means so much more, than and we're all, as a paranormal people, we're all a part of a community, and we're always looking to support each other, and I think we should be anyway. Hopefully, we all are looking to support each other, and get to places that we haven't been to before. And
right.
once you go to a place, you want to go back. We talked about it earlier. Chad and I have a few places that I can't. We're losing track of how many times we've been there. Just we love
mhm.
it.
Yeah,
And I'd like
yeah.
to think this will be one of those places for us. So we'll see you soon.
Well, thank
Definitely.
you. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Of
So,
course.
well, Sean, I'm going to say thank you for coming on tonight with us. We're going to cover a couple of our wrap up things, but if you want to hang out in the green room, we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. All right, Jamie, you want to take these?
Yeah, I have my glasses on, so I can actually read stuff this week. So upcoming episodes next week, I am going to tackle the Portland tunnels, aka the Shanghai tunnels out in Portland, Oregon. Coming up the week after on May 6th, we're going to have Land and Legend Paranormal. That'll be Stacy and Gary Smith, and Stacy was here with us in the audience tonight. It's good to see her. We'll have a full conversation with them about what they're up to with Land and Legend, and then leading into our Para Unity event with them on the 17th of May as well. The 13th of May, I'm going to take on the Morris Jumel Mansion in New York City. And then we're going to get to that old episode on the Dybbuk box that we didn't get to when Chad's voice went out a few weeks ago. So I'm excited for that one too, because I was ready for it then. Now I'm even more ready now. So some cool stuff coming up on the near future. And then we'll have more stuff in a couple weeks for you. For us, investigations, we are at the brewery on the 26th. That's this weekend, back in Mount Joy, PA. And May 17th, as I mentioned, the Paranormal or Para Unity event with Land and Legend Paranormal. And then on June 28th, we're off to an away game for us out to the Haunted Crescent Sanatorium in Paracon there at the prison and facility out in Mid-State. So we won't be too far off from the DOS house. And more dates are coming, once we get past these next couple. So we'll share them soon. Dates are always available on the Boobies Brewery website as well, and our Facebook page if you want to look at something further out, or message us. I'll give you the information. I'll do that in a second. As I mentioned, the co-joining event we have coming up with Land and Legend is going to be May 17th. It's always nice to, and this is something we should have said with Shawnna as well, but it's always nice to investigate with others that you don't get to work with very often. And that's kind of the point of our Para-Unity event coming up in May 17th is, you learn from others, as much as you can watch things on TV, I guess, a lot of things are out there, but, you really, until you're in the moment with somebody, you really don't get sometimes the uniqueness of us as individuals. And I really highly advise getting out and meeting new people, and just sharing and learning. That's what it should all be about. That's what we're going to do that night.
Yep.
And then the away game, as I mentioned, out at the Crescent facility is going to be a horror and Paracon. Chad and I will be there with members of our team for the day. There is an opportunity for a ticketed event to investigate the facility at night later on. And during the day, you do have the ability to wander the grounds and poke into a lot of the property. Everything's going to be open and available as well. And then lots of different vendors, lots of different things to see and do while you're there. So come and join us.
Yep. And finally,
yeah, the socials, how you found us tonight. Obviously, if you're here with us live, and these things are live for us, so bear with me. But we are here on Facebook and YouTube tonight. But tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, the 23rd, we're going to be out on Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a few other streaming services. If you could please, we really appreciate feedback. We have a lot of guests with us during the podcast itself, live events, giving us some stuff to talk through. But if you're out there somewhere else and you're catching up to this or any of the other episodes, feel free to drop us a comment, give us some stars. We'd love to think we earned 5 of them, but because there aren't more than that. But with that, we'll take whatever you have to offer us, and feedback is always important to us. How we're doing, what we might be able to do for you as far as things you want to see or hear from us. Certainly we self-produce, so the schedule you saw, we can move it around any way we need to. It's a little time to dig into whatever you're offering us to do, and if it's your story, we can have you on as well. We'd love to have guests, and certainly we're never shy away from that opportunity. So. And the best ways, if you don't want to leave comments or anything on the streaming services, is just shoot us an email at paranormallenspodcast@gmail.com. Chad and I both see that. And we'll be happy to follow up with you from there and get things rolling. So I think I got most of it, right?
I think you did, Jamie. Yep.
All right.
So,
all right.
So,
well,
yeah.
Well, happy 100th one more time. You look good for your age.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you noticed, but we hit 30 countries today on Spotify.
I did see that. Holy cow.
Yeah. And quite a few streams. So we're getting there. So we want to thank all of you for joining us. The people who joined us tonight for the first time, please come back. It would be great to have you with us. Anything else, Jamie?
I don't. Every Tuesdays at 9, same place that you found us here. We'll be back, and more fun stuff. I think the Portland tunnels is going to be a fun episode. Really interesting. The more I dig into it, so we'll see how it pans out.
Very cool. So, all right.
Until next time.
On that note, happy 100th again, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.